Welcome, everybody, to the JJ and Pug Show. It is March 12th, 2025, part one of the podcast. We were just talking about Teslas. Oh, you want to introduce the song?
Oh, yes. This song, Post Malone, I Had Some Help. And featuring
Morgan Wallen.
Morgan Wallen. Yes, that's what made it real popular.
I don't know who Morgan Wallen is. I just know he's a country artist.
You know his songs.
No, maybe, but you would have to let me listen to it and tell me that's who that is, because I don't know. Of course,
but dude, he's very popular right now. Like he's out of control popular. Yeah. And what's funny is he started out American Idol audition.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
He auditioned American Idol. I don't think he didn't win American Idol, but he came on there, played, he did well. Pretty sure it was American Idol. Is it American Idol or The Voice? One of the two.
A singing.
It was a singing competition. Gets on there and he's this nerdy guy, like kind of like Southern accent, just heavy, and he sings really well. And then he has taken off. And
it's
then
still so funny that Post Malone is a country artist.
But here's the thing. I love what that guy does. And it's not because he's gone all over the place. And he seems like a genuine good time. Like, I don't think he's out causing problems. I think he's a good, solid guy. He looks, when you look at him, he's a guy you can't judge a book by a cover with.
That Doug McDonald or Tom McDonald, whatever.
Yeah, Tom McDonald. Yeah, same thing. Yep. So it's that whole idea where you got to be careful, like, because he's not like that. But yeah, he's goofy. He dances around stage like he's got, I don't know, having a stroke half the time. I was
saying, like, the guy is high.
Yeah,
like, I mean,
you know.
And when you look at his picture too, you're like, that guy's on meth.
Yeah, but he's doing. He jumped into this whole. He has a whole actual country album now.
I know. That's what I'm saying.
He's done really well, and he's coming to Glendale this summer.
So you were going to say something else, and I hate to derail you, but when you're saying, like, you like what Post Malone's doing, like, how is this really any different from Beyonce? Everybody's upset that Beyonce is now considered a country artist because she came out with a country album, which, if you were to... I've been holding this stance, flag planted in the ground forever. You are not a country artist just because you recorded an album in Tennessee.
I agree with this. Still, Post Malone is not a country artist.
Yeah.
I think I think his country music is better than Beyonce's, and that's just music taste. I'm not saying Beyonce's a phenomenal singer. But I just think her realm for me personally is not country. Her Texas Hold'em song was garbage, and I believe the only reason she won what she did is because they wanted to make this stance on the historical black first everything, right? Which, if it was deserved, I'm cool with. I just don't think it was. I think there were better albums and better songs by people in general that should have won, and that she did.
Like, if I remember right, isn't the guy's name Darius Rucker?
Yeah.
He was on Hootie and the Blowfish, right?
Yeah, he was Hootie.
Yeah, that guy's actually solid country music. Mm-hmm. Again, coming from a person who does not like the genre, because for me, like, country music ceased being country music when Chris LeDoux died. Like, to me, that's country
Cowboy's
music.
Hat is one of my favorite songs.
It's a great freaking song. And
we should play that on this.
Hey, you know what? We'll throw it on the list. But I mean, like, he's an actual cowboy, actually singing about being a cowboy. That to me is what country music is.
Well, it's like the George Straits and the George
Straits,
Hank Williams,
and the Keith. He just died. Toby Keith.
Yeah, those kind of guys. I get
Alan Jackson.
Right? Even Garth Brooks for me is country. Like, I get it.
Garth Brooks and Chris LeDoux were tight.
Yeah, well, and Alan Jackson's on tour right now for his last final tour. He ends in May.
Last final tour.
Well, no, I think he's got like cancer. Like he's got some kind of medical condition where I don't think he's going to be. He's really, because this is his last. And Brooks and Dunn's on tour right now. Like, I'm like, dude, Brooks and Dunn would be so dope. Yeah,
see, I guess the reason why I put the air quotes around last final tours. How many farewell tours does Elton John give? I mean, when the amount of money that comes in off of going on tour, those guys are never done.
Well,
they're done when we stop going.
Well, that's like Brooks and Dunn's back. Garth Brooks has come back. Like,
I was going to say, my all-time favorite singer-songwriter is Paul Simon. He can't hear anything anymore. He just announced a new tour that's called the Quiet Tour. I don't remember exactly, but it's essentially the Quiet Tour, because it's like, hey, listen, he can't hear anything, so let's just quietly enjoy listening to him play and sing. It's like, okay. This was also, I remember years ago telling Shalay, hey, I want to go to this concert for Paul Simon because this is his last tour. Because it's always the last tour. Anyway, that's why it is heavy eye of skepticism when they say the last tour.
Well, the only reason I think with Alan Jackson particularly is because I believe there's a medical condition involved.
And that would make sense.
Don't know what it is. Yeah. And he's also really, really, really old. Like,
how old is he?
I don't know, man.
So let's also ask this. What's your reference as really, really, really old?
Well, in a singing career, like anything over 70 is old in singing, because I feel like
how old are the Rolling Stones?
too old. Mick Jagger, too old, bro. Have you seen Mick Jagger?
Still going.
Bro, I know. He looks like he's having a stroke. But he wasn't on so much cocaine, his body would shut down.
He's looked like that since 1991.
And he still looks, I know, he's still on cocaine. That's why.
He still looks the same. Oh, geez. I hate it when this says, when I pop up, it says the list of audio devices connected to the operating system has been changed.
Alan Jackson's 66.
You better still be recording. I'll be so pissed if this thing stopped recording. 66, that's not that old at all.
It's not. I just feel like he's old.
I feel like my
because he hasn't released a new song in forever.
Yeah. My like barometer of what old is really old keeps shifting because my parents keep achieving that number. Yeah. And so I'm like, that's not that old.
Yeah. And you're getting older. Like we used to think 40 was old. Now I'm knocking on the door. I got 1 year left in my 30s.
I'm like, no, bro, I'm good. I'm good. I got. That's not old at all, man. Yeah. I'm barely hitting my prime,
40's
baby.
the new 30.
You know, in a lot of ways, I actually think it is. I truly think it is.
I agree too.
And some of it is because of the fact that millennials didn't start having kids until they were in their 30s. And so that's really shifted the timeline as to when.
Well, and people are living so much longer, right? Like average age expectancy now is like mid 70s, maybe 80s.
Yeah,
and it used to be 55, 60.
Look at a picture of somebody that was in their 40s, in their 50s, 30 years ago versus what they look like now. Not even close to the same person.
Botox is real.
Not just that. I think just life in general. Like, so my dad is going to be 74 this year. And when I looked up, I remember going through the family history, looking at a picture of his dad. His dad died at 92. I think my grandpa died at 92. And he didn't start looking old until my grandma got dementia and he was taking care of her. That was when he started to wear down because he's taking care of this, lady who doesn't know what's going on anymore. But if I look at a picture of his dad died at like 53. And when I look at his picture before he died, he looked like he was 90.
Well, world was tough back then.
I know. That's what I'm saying. Like, our lives just keep getting easier and we keep complaining about more.
It's funny. As I work with a kid, he's from Ghana.
Oh, wow.
Right?
Yeah,
he came here when he was 12.
Yeah.
So when we were talking about these kids, we walked out of a restaurant and it was like 1:30 in the morning. And these kids, he's like, why are these kids not at home? And I'm like, because they're probably teenagers or they're adults or whatever. And you could hear them, they were talking about something. And I said, they're probably just mad or complaining about something. And he's like, well, what do they have to complain about? And I said, coming from you, I said, you're probably the most American person, right? Loving a person because you know what it's like to come from a third world country. Whereas most of us think our life sucks, but we have running water and electricity anytime we turn around. Yeah. So, and hot water nonetheless. And he was like, oh yeah, he goes, I'll tell you, he goes, I used to, haul water every day back to my house. I didn't have, you'd work up such a sweat trying to get your food ready for dinner that you'd burn off everything you ate.
All the calories.
Yeah, the calories were burned off. And I'm just like, man, dude, we don't understand how easy we have it here because we're jaded. We live in a bubble. And you hear these experiences from these kids that this kid's 21, 22 years old and he's now working and he's done really well for himself. But you're looking at like, dude, he's just grateful that he's here. And we're over here taking advantage of it every day. When I say we broadly.
Yeah. I know what you mean. The American general public.
Yeah. Like they think our world is so terrible. I'm like, dude, you guys, we have no idea how bad it could be.
So one of the things you and I have talked about in the past is like, if you really want to have some perspective on how good we've got it, just go to Mexico.
Yeah.
Just go right across the border and go to that. Hey, you know what? Make it a vacation out of it because Rocky Point's nice. Go to the beach down there. Yeah. But until you get to the beach, your eyes are open. You recognize.
Especially when you go to that little town of Sonoita.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, we got it pretty good up here.
There's an imaginary line dividing countries. Like, yes, there's a fence or a wall, but really, it's still the same land.
But where there is no fence or wall, it's just
an imaginary line, and it's crazy how much things change when you cross that little boundary of how much freedom and stuff and the things that we have here. And you see these kids on the street, like they're selling tamales out of backpacks and they're trying to get they're shaking coins or chiclets, doing all kinds of stuff, man.
Have you ever been to El Paso? Mm-mm. Okay, so when you're driving in El Paso, the I-10 is on the international border, and you're driving along. One side, if you're driving towards, you say we're driving east. On your right side is Mexico, and your left side is Texas. And let me tell you what, it is a stark difference in the level of just construction.
Oh, I'm sure.
Like you can see how crazy Juarez is. Like just the random nature of the way that they build things and the town, the city. I mean, first off, Juarez is huge. It is a huge city in comparison to El Paso.
Really?
Yeah, it's a massive city, but it's also one of the deadliest cities It's one of the worst border towns, and that's saying something in the of the entire U.S. Mexico border. But yeah, when you're just driving along, you can just look on both sides and be like, that's crazy. I've done it multiple times, and every time I am shocked by it. If you do it at night, it's when your eyes are really open to how big Juarez is versus El Paso, because El Paso's got a little bit of a skyline, but not much. Dude, Juarez just goes, just continues to go.
It's
and go.
It's one of the most deadliest cities there is in Mexico.
Yeah, it's a rough spot to be. It's funny how right before we got started, I'm like, hey, this is what I want to talk about. You got anything on there you want to, like, nah, we'll get to something. We did.
Sure, we figure out something.
My big thing that I was just noticing this, and I can't remember what brought it to my attention. It was probably some TV show Schley was watching, but they were getting ready for, it was what it was. Schley was watching a TV show, and they were talking about how they had a wedding coming up, and the bride-to-be was just like, I'm just so stressed. I got to plan the wedding. I can't do anything. And in my brain, I'm like, one, I didn't do much planning, so I can't really tell you how stressful it might or might not be. I can tell you right now, my wife didn't do any planning. She was not stressed at all. It was all her mom. Her mom planned the whole thing. So if there was any stress involved or anybody was feeling it, it was my mother-in-law. Bless her heart. I love the lady. But do you know what the average cost? Average cost, meaning for those people that got just straight up married in a courthouse versus those people that throw the most extravagant weddings possible.
So the balance, the average.
The average cost of a wedding in America is?
I would never have known if it wasn't on a note, but you can say it.
$33,000.
Dude, I think they're just out of control.
That is absurd.
I have 3 daughters. So that's $99,000.
$100,000 coming out of your pocket, bro.
Nope, nuh-uh.
Yeah, dude.
I keep telling my kids, and it's hard because I don't know, dude. I got married young, and quite honestly, I'd probably never get married again. Right. It's just not worth it. I can live with somebody and be fine. But the idea of this whole like, let's spend money and or 6 people on a beach. I need a reverend or some kind of church person.
Yeah.
And I can walk down the beach. You want to buy a nice outfit? I'll be in a Hawaiian shirt and I need 2 witnesses. Right. That to me is all it should be. There is so much put on a extravagant, and you know what's funny is I tell my kids this all the time is you're not going to remember it. Like,
no, you won't remember this much.
You're doing the wedding for everybody else. For what? I would rather say, hey, look, you go get married in the court. And this is right now, my daughters are listening. Yeah. I will tell them, you go get married in a court. I'll pay for your honeymoon. Like you want to spend, 8-10 grand, go on like a 15-day extravaganza thing in the Europe. Do something with your spouse.
My buddy just showed us, because we just booked a cruise in the end of October we're going on. So it's a ways out, right? Yeah. But we were looking at the different options. And one of them was like, hey guys, we really should have done this one. And it was $1,200 a person or something like that, I think. And it was from Los Angeles to Japan and multiple stops in Japan, stops. And you fly home from Tokyo. And it was like the flight back was like $400. So it was like all in, you're into this thing for $3,000. And it was a 15-day cruise. I mean, imagine how awesome.
I need you to send me that link.
Dude, that'd be, dude, how freaking great would a honeymoon of that be?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, granted, if you're scared of boats, maybe not.
Maybe not.
Crossing the Pacific Ocean.
Why spend $33,000 on what? Like
on a one-night party. One night.
I just don't care. Like, and the idea that it has to be at this like venue that costs $10,000 just to have the venue for the night, and then you're not talking food. And like, why? I don't understand what we created. Who cares? Nobody is going to remember your wedding. By the way, your wedding is not going to be that special.
I just want to tell people, when I say that was according to Fidelity, the financial planning service. Like this is not just some cooked up. It's an actual sourced $33,000 average cost.
No.
Oh, and by the way, one of the things I wanted to point out is that if in that article, it points out like the different states that's the most expensive. The most expensive state, if you were to get married in, according to Zola, I don't know what Zola is if you were to get married in, where was that number? This is a weird one. Rhode Island. Guess what the average cost of a wedding in Rhode Island is?
But why? I don't know.
I don't know why. Grand. Close. $49,207. Rhode Island is a speck. It's not even the size of Maricopa County, and it's that expensive to get married in Rhode Island. It probably.
Did I drive through that? Did we drive through that when we went to Baltimore, from Baltimore to Maine? We had to have, right?
Baltimore. You went to Baltimore?
No.
Boston.
I
don't think so. I don't think you would have.
I know we drove through Connecticut.
I've been to Rhode Island because when my sister and brother-in-law lived in Boston or in Massachusetts, we went there and we ate in some really high-end fancy restaurant in Providence that my wife and I were not prepared to be in. And I showed up in like a hoodie and jeans, and apparently it's like a tie and collared shirt venue that I was like, oh crap, I don't belong here. And then I opened up the menu and I'm like, I'll have the side Caesar. that was my order because I'm like, I can't afford the rest of this stuff. But and then I guess the least expensive place to get married is South Dakota or Alaska. Oh, well, still $16,000.
Here's the thing. So I actually got asked recently to officiate
a wedding in Alaska.
So okay, it may be cheap to have a wedding in Alaska, but getting everybody there, that's a destination wedding. Yeah. Like that is like going to, you might as well just like get all inclusive.
Also, something I am wholly against is a destination. No, I shouldn't say that. I'm not against it. It is one of those things where, listen, we'd like you to come. If you can't come, I want you to feel zero pressure. But if you do come, good. That's about it. I don't like the idea at all of telling people you have to come to my wedding. Okay. I was seeing your face all like me wondering, like, what's he holding back on?
I feel like I was Michael in the show, like, and you were Jim, just waiting for me to like pull it out of me.
Oh my gosh, I also said blow. I can't believe I just did that.
Rhode Island is south of Boston, by the way.
Yes, it is.
I had to look.
Anyway, so that's according to Fidelity. It's outrageously expensive to just have the marriage, the wedding ceremony. But do you know what the average length of a marriage in America is?
I do, only because you showed me. But it
doesn't
surprise me.
It surprises me a little bit.
You know why it surprises you?
Years.
I'll tell you why it surprises you. And for the fact, I mean, it's because it's religion based for you, right? Because traditionally in an LDS marriage, marriages last forever or a long time. Like people will, it's almost like it's like you just, that's kind of what you're supposed to do, right? Like you don't just quit.
Right. But it's not just that it's a religion thing. It's surprising to me. That's like, do you not know the person that you're committing to?
I mean, change.
People change, but do they change that much?
I would think it would actually be higher though. Like I don't think 7. By the way,
this is according to Weinman and Associates, a family divorce attorney.
7 to 8 years, I feel like, is the part where in everybody's marriage is like where the honeymoon phase
is. A 7-year itch? Is that what it's called?
Something like that. Like where the honeymoon phase is over, and now you're learning like about life. You probably have started having kids, which we both know that once your relationship is great, but when you start implementing children and your time gets divided and you don't have, it can be really hard on your marriage.
I'll say this. It's strangely enough the exact opposite for me and Shley because of how hard it was to have kids for us.
Okay, fair.
So I have to recognize that we do not apply to a lot of these things because for us, like the not having kids was actually the thing that was dividing us. That was the thing that was pushing us apart.
That's, I mean, and I don't know if my brother or his ex-wife listen to this, but for me, that's why I believe they got divorced, is because they struggled having kids. And then there was a whole bunch of other stuff, but the root of the whole thing was they tried infertility or the fertility stuff. They were going to go that route with in vitro. Like, I think that could drive a wedge in anybody's relationship. It's very hard when you don't, because I got to imagine, and I can ask you got to question compatibility. Is there a godly sign that you might maybe just not supposed to be together?
Trust me.
Like every imaginable thing.
Literally what you just said, the second thing, that is exactly what she and I were questioning. Because it's like, one, we wanted to be married to each other. We chose each other.
Yeah.
But it was a question of, is because we are super religious, it was, is God telling us we're not supposed to be married? Because every medical test we had said that we were perfectly fine. Yeah. There was nothing wrong with either one of us. And that, according to the doctors, like, listen, if, I don't know what's going on. You guys should have 30 kids by now. And it was just like, I don't know. We don't know what's going on. Is this literally a sign from God that we're not supposed to do this? It's what we came to. It was like we had, but ultimately we doubled down. Well, ultimately we doubled down and said, okay, well, whether we have kids or not, we are committed to each other. And so we may be the childless people our whole lives. Maybe we're going to adopt. Yeah. And ultimately we decided we're going to try in vitro once because we tried other things, but in vitro is what we tried and we went up the twins. And then since, hey, shoot, here we go. We got more now.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's obviously, I firmly believe that one of the things when people say like, this is not theology, by the way, I'm not speaking for Latter-day Saints at all. I'm just saying this is gospel according to me. When I hear the song Jesus Take the Wheel, I cringe so much. It makes me angry because it's like Jesus wants you to do it. Yeah. He wants you to make these choices on your own. Yeah, there are going to be things that you have to go through and say, listen, I'm just going to accept whatever it is you've got for me is what's coming, but I'm going to do my best. The idea that literally your entire life needs to just be like, whatever happens, happens. It's his choice. Like, no. you need to be in charge of your life. You need to make your own decisions, and you need to be responsible for the outcomes that come from those choices. The consequences are yours.
Yeah.
Sometimes you don't get to decide. Like for me and my wife, we didn't get to just have kids. We had to make it happen. And that was up to us. We had to make it happen. You
could have walked away.
We could have walked away.
And that would have been easy to separate and say, hey, look, it just isn't for us.
Especially at that point in our life, we didn't have anything.
Yeah.
Like it'd been 4 or 5 years. We didn't have anything. And it's like, all right, I guess we tried everything we've got. This isn't working. You know, we're still young enough for whatever, blah, blah, blah. We could have done that. We didn't. We decided to double down and say, no, we're together. So yes, I understand that maybe obviously my religious background and my familial background like taints my vision of this, but at the same time, like every marriage goes into it with the same words of how committed are you? Are you committed to this person? And for to be committed only for 7-8 years, especially with the legal entanglements that come from marriage.
So I wonder if that study also takes into account second marriages and divorces, because
I'm sure it does.
The first time is the hardest, from what I understand. After that, it's so easy. Like people don't fear divorce once you get divorced. They're like, and I know people right now that have been divorced twice, and they're like, when it got hard, they were like, I've been divorced before. I'm not going to do this.
It just makes it that much easier to back out. And we also in our society, I just remember listening to a whole podcast on the history of divorce. I don't even know why. It wasn't like. No, that wasn't what it was. It was a YouTube video that was just on, like, you know, when you're watching YouTube and the one you clicked on ends and it just kind of like rolls into another one. That's what it was. It was basically about the history of Thomas Jefferson's marriages. And then it went on to like, he was apparently a big part of how divorce became legal in the United States because he helped somebody else. I don't remember the whole thing, but basically it was before we were in the United States, divorce was illegal in the American colonies. You had to get approval from Parliament in England to get a divorce, in which case they never allowed it. So there was never a divorce before that. Very weird, right? Very weird.
Crazy.
Weird. But anyway, so history of our country has made divorce easier and easier and easier, which in some instances I feel like is good. We should be doing that because sometimes the divorce is the answer. Sometimes that is the answer.
It is. And the problem is with divorce is the male gets screwed no matter what.
That is what I was going to say. We make it to the point where the male, regardless of fact, is almost always at fault. Regardless of fact.
It's ridiculous. Like
it's very difficult.
And I understand maybe and I get it, like, you know, especially like in the religion, right? Where it's like a wife stays at home the whole time, husband works. And then when they divorce, it's like, hey, I don't have no, and I get it to an extent, but it's like, They almost write off the fact that the husband's been out so long working that they value the mom being at home more, not working. So they're gonna reward her more than they are him for. I'm like, hold on, that's a 50-50 street there, dude. Like that is not hey, I know that you didn't put your life on pause. You chose to do the family thing while I did the support thing.
Yeah.
So that doesn't mean that you should be entitled to more, but that's just my opinion.
No, the thing that actually drives me nuts is I feel like in today's society, if you have a traditional family setup, dad provides, mom stays home with the kids. For some reason, dad providing is not as important as mom staying home, taking care of the kids. I feel like we've really diminished the fact that it's like that would not be possible. It wouldn't be possible for mom to stay home and take care of the kids if dad wasn't providing. And especially in today's economy, where it is almost necessary to have dual income home to be able to live. Like there needs to be a lot more credit given if you're able to have that situation because, this is obviously two dads talking.
Yeah.
Providing ain't easy.
No.
It's a constant stress in your life. You're constant, like right now with all this talk about an impending recession, I'm freaking out, dude. I'm wondering, I'm like, am I too leveraged here? Do I have too much invested over here? Do I need to be pulling money from this? Should I pull back on whatever decision we're making with the business in this direction? Like, divorce, providing for your family, that's your one most important responsibility. And if the possibility of not being able to do that starts to present itself, it's catastrophic for me.
I can't even imagine. Like you'd have to just go all in, and like as a dad, you have so much stress on just providing that it doesn't matter. Because here's the thing: if your job quit tomorrow, you're not going to say, Shalay, go get to work. I'm going to stay home.
Yeah.
No, you're going to be out at home, wherever.
I got to go find a job.
I need a job. Like, I will pay me cash, pay me whatever. I've got bills to pay, and I will have 4 part-time jobs a week if that's what it takes.
Yeah, because that's my job.
Yeah.
But again, going back to the divorce, somehow, and not just divorce, but in society overall, somehow we don't look at that as the same. We don't look at those two things as equal jobs. And I've always been of the belief that we don't give mothers enough credit for the amount of work that they do at home and provide and taking care of the kids. But somehow and again, this is the classic overcorrection. Somehow that's become far more important than the father being able to provide for the home, to be able to have a home, have food, have water, have electricity, have a car, have gas, be able to do recreational activities with the family, go on vacations. Somehow all of that is not important at all because mom is taking the kids to and from school, taking them to the doctor, getting the doctor's appointment set up, making sure that everyone's fed, making sure the home is clean, balancing a budget, whatever else you've got mom doing at home. Like, so, and I feel like now we talk about those being not important or they're too important. Like, it's just like, dude, why can't we just look at this and say it's literally a 50-50 split? Don't keep score. As long as you recognize we're talking about a 50-50 split here, then there is no, well, you do more than me and I do more than you. But if the woman
doesn't work and the husband works, so like that's what sucks is so now I have to pay them alimony or whatever. Like, why? I'm not saying she's not incapable of getting a job.
Yeah.
It's just I've been supporting her this whole time, so now I have to keep supporting her.
Yeah, that is in where it comes to you're going back to the divorce thing. I guess I'm just looking at it, society overall. But you're right to get us back on topic. You're right as far as just because now let's say the family is split. Now I understand that I may have to provide for her for a little while because until she because again, where I come back to divorce is freaking messy. That's why it shocks me it's only 7 to 8 years because if you know anybody that's been divorced, you know that the process is a nightmare. And
it can be.
It always is. Unless you're talking about somebody who had nothing to split. If they had no assets and no kids.
But that's the thing. This is what happens with divorce right now. Like anybody you know that's where I have a buddy at work. Dude, he's going through divorce. It's finally over. But it was like... It's just like it was like a slander thing with each other, like trying to figure out what.
Oh yeah.
It's like, why? What are you doing at this point? Like, listen, why can't two people be adults and be like, listen, it sucks. It's not going to be fun, but I'm going to help you get through this. You help me go. At the end of the day, you spent your life with this person for a while, right? Yeah. You should be able to say, hey, look, dude, sometimes things don't work and it doesn't have to be ugly. Yes, you need help. I'm going to help you. I'm not going to leave you out to dry. You don't need to be a jerk to me in front of the kids or tell the kids all this other. Like, what is the point in that? There is no point.
Okay. Yeah, you're right. I just, when you were saying that, I was reminded of a friend of mine who's gone through a divorce. And I say going and gone is almost the same thing because even though the divorce is over, it's never over. Mm-hmm. It's always going to come back up. In this instance, my friend's wife was a serial cheater. Multiple instances in which he caught her in the situation with the guy, with the number, with the texts, with the phone calls, constant. Okay. And I think the first or second time he was still willing to like, hey, you know what? Let's work it out. Let's figure it out. We got kids. We have a home together. Like, let's work this out. And then the third time he's like, I'm done. You're going to just continually lie about this. And even though I've got you in the situation, I've got it. I came home. The dude was here. He told me what happened. Like,
yeah, you've got no out.
You said that you weren't married to this guy only for your husband to come home. Like, what else are we going to do here? So they get a divorce. She, by the way, had a job. So they were both working. Her job was very part-time, became full-time once the divorce happened. He, because he made more money than her, still had to pay her child support, even though she was living in her parents' home.
Yeah.
Cost nothing. He was still living in their home. Cost everything, right? So, okay, he still has to pay her. Fine. He's like, okay, you know what? We've come to an agreement. That's fine. We're going to share 50-50 custody here. They're my kids or your kids, whatever. Now the kids are suddenly becoming ammunition in every fight. Because he wants to take the kids on a family vacation. That's not on his week. He's willing to trade with her. She's not willing to trade with him.
See, that's wrong.
Vice versa. I shouldn't say vice versa. So far, I mean, again, I'm only talking to my buddy. I don't know but I do know enough to say that if she's the serial cheater here, it's kind of hard to take her word for much.
Right.
Right? Okay, fast forward. She quits her job. She goes back to her ex-husband and says, hey, I'm not working anymore. I need more money for child support. His answer is, no, we have a divorce decree. This is the amount the judge said. it's not my job. You quit. I don't know why you quit.
You shouldn't have quit. I can't quit my job when I'm supporting you.
And also, again, my thing is come back like, you decided to cheat on me. We're divorced. You're on your own now. Yeah. All you are to me is the mother of my children.
Yeah.
I'm going to take care of them, but not you. It's not my responsibility to take care of you anymore. So she says, okay, I guess you'll hear from my attorney. So now it's back and forth between the attorneys, costing more money because now they have to pay the attorney every single time they go back and forth.
See, this is where I would not pay an attorney.
Well, good luck, because then you go to the judge and you're screwed because you don't actually know what the legalese that you have to use.
I would wait till that point, but like this back and forth game, I could talk to her attorney. No, I don't want that. Because the divorce attorneys are the biggest scam out there, right?
Dude, that's what I'm saying. Divorce in general. Like, my thing is, like, listen, if you're going to get a divorce, get the divorce. It's over. Okay, the decree is 50-50 split of the kids. Unless one or the other is like incredibly incapable, like we're talking about abusive situation, alcohol.
Those are outliers.
Yeah, those are outliers. But if we're talking about just two rational human beings, then 50-50 split and you go your way and I'm going mine. I'm not responsible for anything you do after that.
For you, I will help pay for kids stuff. My kids. I would do all that stuff fine, but you need to support yourself.
Yeah.
Like, this is, you're a big girl in a big girl world with all these things that you want to have. Hey, that's you.
Anyway, fast forward, goes back to the judge. Judge says, yeah, you do need to pay her more. She doesn't have an income anymore.
See, that's wrong.
It is, but that is the example of this terrible situation that divorce is. It's a mess. So, like I said, average American wedding or marriage actually is only 7-8 years. The cost of that wedding was $33,000. Let's say 35. We're basically saying for $5,000 a year in a marriage, 7 years, you paid for a wedding.
Yeah.
Why even do it?
I don't think it's worth it. Just go get your little piece of paper.
So, and the whole reason why I was thinking about this is like, I feel like we as a society do not put enough emphasis on how to be married because there's too much money in getting married and getting divorced. And I quickly wanted to go over this is according to divorce.com. So, I feel like that's probably, by the way, begin a divorce. Click on this button right here. Not going to do that, but I feel like it's a pretty solid.
That's the attorney though. Like, and then you're going to pay $20,000 for them. Like, I work with a guy who's going through divorce right now. Another guy, right? Bro, he's up to like $30-something thousand in legal fees with his attorney. And I'm like, dude, what are you like? No. And then she lives in the house. So he's like, fine, you can have the house. Like, I'm good. So he stopped paying the electricity bill and all this on his name. And he doesn't live there. He's literally living in a room with a couch in it and a bed at somebody's house. And he's trying to figure all this out. And he's like, I'm not paying for your electric. That is your job. I don't live there anymore. Like, you wanted the house. You wanted everything. This is what you get when you want it.
This is what comes with owning a house.
Sorry. Yeah. It doesn't just every month when the electricity stayed on, it wasn't because it was just free.
Yeah.
Like, So, dude, it just makes me so, but $30,000. I'm like, bro, he's got to file bankruptcy just to get out of do you know what I'm saying? And then he's screwed even longer. Yeah, because of divorce.
So the top 19 reasons for getting divorced, again, according to divorce.com. And I'm not going to go through all of them. But the number one, this is to me is probably the weakest one because it is probably also like a good example of our society overall. Too much conflict, incessant arguing. We argue about the smallest things in life all the time. And we can't just let crap go. Or let it be, or understand, or use the agree to disagree. Apparently, that's the number one thing, right? I wouldn't have guessed that was number one. I would have guessed number one was finances or infidelity, which apparently is number two-ish. Number two is lack of commitment. Now, what would you think lack of commitment means? Would you think infidelity? No. That's not what that means.
No. Just maybe not wanting to be in it anymore.
Yeah, so it says sometimes the spouse is still committed to the relationship, believes they can single-handedly save their marriage if they work it out after all. But this to me doesn't make any sense because one person's basically saying, I'm out, and the other person's saying, I'm in. But why? Why are you out and why am I in? This doesn't really give an example of it, but it's stupid. Number three is infidelity. I would have thought that would have been much higher. Apparently not.
I feel like 4 would be a big one.
I know what I look at that one and say that's the right side of that's the guys. Lack of emotional and or physical intimacy. We've talked about this probably every other podcast we've ever done. The importance of physical intimacy for a man.
Yeah, it's physical. Their love language is more than likely physical touch.
Yeah, because like we said,
something else.
I've said it a million times. If she's putting out, he'll put up. That makes a big difference because as a man, if you're getting that, you feel wanted, appreciated, loved. Like, those are all the feelings you get from that physical intimacy. And I know with women, they want the emotional intimacy, which I feel, as a man, comes from the physical intimacy. It all goes in one. But whatever. Communication problems between partners is number 5. So basically, you just don't talk to each other, I guess. Become transactional roommates type thing. Domestic violence, that one. I was sad to see it's number 6.
Yeah, that should be. I mean, you should be leaving if that's a problem.
Yeah, that is one of those instances where I say, yes, divorce is definitely justified. Opposing values or morals. That to me is stupid because you should have figured that out before you got married. Yeah. You should have understood the differences between what you found most important and what she found most important before you got married.
And at least have been okay with because it'd be like saying, hey, a Democrat can marry a Republican as long as you understand.
We're going to have differences of opinion.
The difference of opinion, and we're going to have some conversation.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it's not going to make me love you any less or whatever, right? But if you haven't done that conversation and you find out, you get tired of it 4 years later, you're like, I hate that you're a conservative.
Yeah.
I'm not changing.
I look at it from the perspective of differences of religion. Like, you better go in this knowing, like, hey, we have different religions, and that's not a problem. Like, that should not be a problem.
14, religious differences.
See, that's what how is that any different than differences of morals?
See, I feel like this would be a big one too, parenting differences.
Oh, yeah.
Because if you don't have that conversation with your spouse as you're going to have kids and, dad's a little bit more firm and the mom's more of a, hey, let's just coddle them. That could be big for, it would drive me crazy.
It wouldn't drive me crazy if mom was opposed or dad was opposed. You know what I mean? Like, I guess that's really the thing is, because I think every mom is a little bit more of the coddling nature and every dad is a little bit more of the, hey, figure it out.
Yeah, but mom needs to be okay with dad saying figure it out. And that's where...
And dad's also going to be okay with mom being a little bit more of a mother hen type.
Well, which makes sense. But when it comes to disciplining them, you better be on the same page, because if I want to spank my kid and you're saying don't put your hands on him, that could be problematic. That's not understanding each other. That's a whole different view.
Yeah, that's completely divergent views.
I'm not beating my child. I'm disciplining them. So it's like touching a hot stove. It's like doing...
It's recognizing consequences.
Pain retains. Dude. So it's the way it works,
yes, dude. There's another one where I look at this and say, number 9 seems to be the exact same as the one we were talking about. Absence of romantic intimacy or love. How's that any different than the other one we already read about? Emotional and physical intimacy. I don't know. Kind of seems like the same thing.
I don't know.
One spouse not carrying their weight in marriage. That is one where, it could possibly be true. But where I look at it and think, I think as society, we put too much emphasis on one or the other, not recognizing the 50-50 difference in mom does mom things, dad does dad things.
Yeah. And
if we're doing them together, like, listen, if mom's got to work and dad's got to work because we need 2 incomes, well, then dad better be coming home to do the dishes too. He better be cooking every once in a while as well. Like, it can't all be on mom to do everything when they both have a full-time job.
There's a reel about this, actually. It's a marriage counselor. I think she is. But she talks about how marriage is not 50-50. Today, it's maybe 80-20. Tomorrow, maybe, 60-40.
Yeah.
Like, you have to be the other part. When a person said, if you come home, she says, if my husband comes home and he's like, listen, I've only got about 10% today, I need to be the other 90.
Yeah.
Like that day, right? It's every day. So she goes into this whole thing and it makes sense, right? Like, it's not 50-50. Everybody says marriage is 50-50. It's not.
No, but I get what you're saying, but I think what you're saying is it's not 50-50 every day.
Right.
I think in the long run, you have to look at it as it's 50-50.
Yes, I agree.
Like, every day, maybe not.
No.
But overall, your relationship should be 50-50.
Because it equals out 50-50, right?
Yeah.
I've got to make up the other bit if they're, whatever that is, right? For that day, whatever they're going through at that moment. Hey, look, today you've only got 25%. Cool, I'll take the 75% today because tomorrow I may need you to take the 65%. I don't know. But it makes sense.
The other one that I thought was kind of crazy is how low it was number 12 was financial. I thought that would be much higher. I was always told that financial stress was like the number 1 cause of divorce.
I mean,
apparently it's not. I
can see it be. Well, it's funny, marrying too young.
Well, I look at that and think it's kind of stupid because for the vast majority of human history,
they got married
young. Mm-hmm. And divorce was not common at all.
Well, I think that's because it was so like you didn't divorce, like you said, it just wasn't a thing. So that's why they got married young and they said, no, I'll just write it out. I can't get divorced.
I also think that it's because in today's society, we look at it and we kind of look down on people that got married young. Like, how many people have looked at you and said, dude, you got married way too young?
I look at myself every day in the mirror and say that.
But look at your marriage. Yeah. Look at your life.
Like, I understand.
Like, it's, I think we demonize it a little too much. Because I look at my parents, when I say that they have the perfect marriage, I'm probably wrong, but I kind of think that I'm not. They got married young. 21 years old, done, married. And I look at Shaleigh's parents, same thing.
My in-laws have been married. They got married when they were like 18.
Yeah. Like, hey, I found my one and I'm sticking with my one and I got married. Like, I also know, again, there's a religious component to that. Mm-hmm. I agree. But I also look at my grandparents who, like, my dad's parents got married right out of high school because grandpa went to war. And my mom's parents eloped because they were younger than the state of Utah allowed them to get married. Utah, bro. State of Utah. They had to go to Wyoming to get married. Yes. But, I mean, and my mom's parents, they celebrated a 75th anniversary before either one of them died. 75 years on this earth married. It's freaking nuts, dude. And only one of them got close to 100 years old. That's kind of saying something. But lack of shared interest, again, one of those things, you probably should have figured that out before you got married.
Well, yeah, but I also think that could change over time.
No, that's true.
You know what I'm saying? So, like,
but you got to have some core stuff that you are interested in.
Right, but I do think it's possible, or as much as we don't want to talk about it in society, that it is okay. Two people can grow apart. As much as it may be unfortunate or things just change in life, there may be a life event, there may be something that just changes things for people, right? And you have to be okay with the idea of, like, look, if Shaleigh comes to you and says, hey, like, things just aren't the same for me and I don't know what to do, whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Does it suck? Sure. But that doesn't mean there's hate there. It doesn't mean that there's not love there. It's just, look, things change. People change, and that's okay. We can't just lump it all into this problem on here and say, okay, well, we should, like, it doesn't, you should, let me ask you this, Eric. If you're not happy, or if you are in a position or as a person where you don't want to be there, should you stay? And sacrifice your happiness, your life, for what you in your internal mind say, it's just not working for me. How long do you put up with it? Like, how long do you say my personal sacrifice is, or my personal happiness is a sacrifice for kids, and people will stay together for kids, which I think makes sense, right? Yeah. Because you try to have a stable home as long as possible if you're going through some stuff.
Yeah.
But I mean, how long is too long? Or when do you say, okay, look, I've sacrificed. It's time for, I want to be happy too, right?
I hear everything you're saying. And in my brain, I'm thinking, is my spouse willing to work with me on these things? Are we able to get through this because we're committed to each other?
It's a last resort, I think.
It is, but I think too many people look at it as, well, it's just not going to get any better.
Yeah.
It's just not going to get any better. Instead of, what can we do to make it better? Because you fell in love with that person for some reason.
Yeah.
Like, that's the thing I think it gets forgotten way too much is you chose to marry this person for a reason. They couldn't have sucked. No, like, when you met them, there had to have been something there.
You can fall out of love. I
know, but I think the reason we fall out of love is because we stop working on being in love.
Maybe.
And you let things like, oh man, work was just so, I was so stressed today. I don't got time for you today. Or, because this is something that me and my wife fall into, and I'm probably not alone in this. Sometimes when we get done with, with the day I come home from work, cleaned up dinner, and get the kids to bed, I got my show I want to watch. She's got her show she wants to watch, and we do it in different rooms. And then you do that for 2 or 3 nights, you start to wonder, who's that person I live with? You got to forget. So you have to make it a priority to not let that happen. And it's easy to fall into it. It is.
Oh, I agree.
But I also think that for me, and again, my mindset is sometimes you just have to make sure that you're also working at it, because it's easy to fall out of love with somebody if you're not doing anything with them, or you're not trying to remain with them. And so when you say, how long does that go on? I guess the question is my spouse unwilling to work? Are we unwilling to work with each other to figure out what it is that made us fall in love? One of the things that I do, and I've said this, I prioritize making sure that I get a trip with just my wife at least once a year. Yeah. At least once a year, just her and I, doesn't matter what it is. Because if we don't do that, then it is easy to kind of get lost in mom and dad. And you just kind of become roommates to make sure that things function at the home. Kids get to school, they get home, they get fed, you move on. It's too easy for that to happen. And one thing that's hard for us is we do have young kids. So doing a weekly date night, it's not really feasible, because trying to find someone to watch all the kids while Shaleigh feeling comfortable leaving the home with that person, because I'll tell us, dude, I feel comfortable with just about anybody watching my kids. I'm probably the worst when it comes to that.
I'm
dude.
out.
No, I mean, I'm not asking you to do it.
No,
but I mean, like,
I meant like you're just out.
Oh yeah, dude. We gotta go.
We'll be back.
Peace out, man. We'll be back.
Yeah.
I honestly feel like I could leave my twins home alone and they'd be fine for 3 hours.
They probably would be.
I really think they would be. Give them the TV remote and nothing's gonna happen to the house.
Yeah, lock. Don't answer the door.
Yeah. Anyway, so like I feel differently in that regard. But if you don't actually try to do anything, yeah, I guess divorce would be an easy option because it's always easier to think it's going to be better with somebody else.
Yeah.
That is the easiest thing in the world, to imagine that your life is going to be better with somebody else because it's just not working here anymore. Instead of recognizing, hey, I fell in love with this person for a reason. How about I go back to figuring out what that was? And if your spouse is also saying, hey, I fell in love with this person for a reason, rekindle those reasons, figure them out again, and then branch out from there. I don't know. I guess I just, again, watching that show just made me think like, dude, we worry way too much about the wedding and we don't worry near enough about the marriage.
Oh, the wedding's so dumb.
It's so dumb. And this is coming from the guy between my wife and I, by the way. She didn't want a reception. I did because I wanted to have a party. I didn't want an extravagant one. The great thing about being a Latter-day Saint, free church, baby. Mm-hmm. Church don't cost nothing.
That's right.
Go use that venue, all free all the time, which is what we did. But like, I don't know. I think we in America need to reprioritize marriage way over wedding. Wedding should not be the industry that it is. It's ridiculous how much money we spend on a one-night party that could put people in massive debt or add a massive strain on the marriage because you spent so much freaking money on a one-night thing. You're never going to get your money back from that. And truly, the memories are not what you think they are. Fast forward 15 years, which, by the way, guess what? 8 days from now, 15-year anniversary.
Get it. Let's go.
Very excited about that. Not that we're doing anything. We got a newborn. Stay home.
It is tough.
Yeah. Anyway, that's all I had, dude.
We went actually pretty long. So for not being able to have.
Oh shoot! I just realized. Yeah, dude, this is way longer. I thought we were gonna be at like the 20-minute mark.
Nope.
That's what happens when you have a good conversation with a friend.
That's right.
Before you leave, I want to go over those real quickly. I just want to let everybody know I'm down 10 pounds today.
Yeah, let's go.
Dude, I measured in at 10 pounds down today.
I told you,
that's
bro.
insane.
And how
dude.
much food are you eating?
I am eating way more than I thought I could. And every time I look at that list of things I've got to eat, I'm like, oh crap, I gotta. Dude, I love it. So right now I want to turn Monday or Sunday into my meal prep day, like actually just cook it all. Yeah. So far it hasn't worked out that way. It's always been Monday afternoon. I am so sick of cooking, dude. I cook so much freaking food and it's just like,
it helps though. You spend a little bit of time one day and the rest of your week is just, the structure for me helped just keep me on track.
Yeah. I will say it gets a little bit harder when you're busy at work.
Yeah.
I do bring all the food with me, but when you get in the groove of doing whatever it is you're doing, you kind of forget what the time it is. Yeah. The one that has been harder for me is breakfast. Breakfast has been the hardest one because shake, easy. Protein shake, done.
Yeah.
Eggs are expensive right now. I've been buying them from a neighbor, so it's not near as much.
Yeah.
But that plus I don't have any turkey bacon. Or turkey sausage, which I saw optional on there. So I'm like, all right, just not going to do that one.
Yeah.
What was the other one? Was it oatmeal? Oatmeal. I don't have any oatmeal. I finally got the Ezekiel bread. I had no idea it was just straight up Jewish bread. That's all it is. It's like, it's straight out of, that's why it's called Ezekiel. It's like straight out of the Old Testament, how to make this bread.
Oh, really?
It's got the scriptures all over it, dude. I was like,
I never paid attention.
Oh, yeah. Anyway, so it's like the most Jewish bread there is, which is fine. And like outside of that, like all these other things on there, I'm like, dude, I gotta go find this. I've never eaten this before.
Oatmeal. I'm
not an oatmeal guy.
I'm not. I did, and then I don't, and then I do, then I don't. Like right now, I'm on a don't. I just tried again Monday, and I'm like, nope, can't do it. I eat protein pancakes. It's just I figured out that a half a cup of oatmeal and a third cup of protein pancakes, especially the chocolate chip ones.
Yeah,
the macros are about the same. So I just do the 1/3 cup of pancake, and I can eat that with I put the peanut butter on top of the pancake, and I actually with the egg on top of it too, because I like the yolk. It's really weird, but
give some moisture.
Yeah, but it just works. But again, some people love oatmeal where they can eat oatmeal constantly every day, and it's not a big deal. And I'm just like,
I can do oatmeal every once in a while, but it's got to have a whole lot of brown sugar.
Well, and I don't do oatmeal like where it's like I have to. Mine's almost like I don't put enough water in it on purpose, so it's almost like chewy.
Oh, okay.
I don't want the slimy. Like,
I want it sticky.
Yeah, I don't want it to like just be like soup that I'm having to eat. So people eat it differently, but
so I still need you to show me what egg whites I'm supposed to buy from Costco.
they're just hard to find right now.
I know,
I
which
ran
makes
out of
sense.
them.
Makes sense. It would be
I
hard
bought
right now.
2 boxes of them, so I've been able to get by the last 2 weeks because it lasts. I do one a day, so it lasts me 12 days. But I'm at the point now where like I've got one left, and I'm going to Vegas this weekend with Alexi, so I don't care what I'm doing there. But yeah, it sucks so hard. So when I buy them, and like I said, if I didn't see any else, I'd buy you some.
Also, I need you to tell me when I'm supposed to be taking certain supplements. The only one I know I'm supposed to take is creatine after the workout. Mm-hmm. Outside of that, the multivitamin in the morning. Outside of that, I'm like, I got all these other ones. I don't remember when I'm supposed to take them.
Dude, most of it's so like the glutamine and all that stuff would be your after workout shake. But I put it with creatine. The creatine, BCAAs, glutamine is the same drink. It's just all after a workout. It's just that way you get it all in at one time.
Okay. Well, I've got them all on the counter. I left them out on the counter so you could show me when I'm supposed to do that.
Yep.
The other thing I was going to say is, dude, that cheat meal on Saturday.
How was that?
Ooh.
What'd you have?
I went to a steakhouse, got myself a 16-ounce sirloin with some...
Which really isn't even a cheat.
No, which is why I did it.
Right.
But the cheat is this. I also got baked potatoes, fully loaded potato skins, brisket loaded mac and cheese. And what else?
Yeah.
What was one other thing? Bacon wrapped jalapeno poppers. Bro, I am so looking forward to Saturday, dude. The weekend has a whole new allure to me.
I'm telling you, man, it's what gets me to the weekend, especially in a prep. Like, okay, I can do this food. I got food coming, one meal.
Oh, dude, I look forward to that meal so much, and it's really a bummer. So when it rains, my mom she home cooks cinnamon rolls and has all the kids back over. Guess what it did? It rained. Guess what they're doing right now? Yes. Cinnamon rolls. Guess where I'm not? I'm not, dude. You have no idea how hard it was to be
discipline, buddy.
I'm not going just today. And I keep thinking to myself, all right, just gonna get to June. Get to June. Let's do this. Let's do this hard.
You can do anything for 90 days.
Yeah, I can do this. I can do this hard to June, and then after that, kind of reintroduce and like look and see what I like. So far, the one thing I really, really like, I'm really liking my chicken and potatoes.
Oh, yeah.
Like the chicken and rice was the thing. I was like, I don't know if I can do rice. But the red potatoes, bro, I can eat red potatoes all day, every day.
Yep.
I love red potatoes.
Whatever you want to do.
Dude, have you ever tried the garlic olive oil from Trader Joe's?
Not that I've had garlic olive oil.
Dude, it is so good. I loaded up on it when I went to get the Ezekiel bread. Yeah. I got so much of it. And then that's what I was making, just a little bit on top of those potatoes, get a little bit of a little something. Delicious. Anyway, so I was saying, like, I'm down 10. I'm shocked I went down. In fact, I was telling Chalet, this is before I did a workout. I think I was down 9 or down 8. And so I'm like, I'm almost pissed how much weight I've lost doing nothing. Because that's my body telling me, F you, dude. All we've been asking for you to do is eat something healthy.
I'm telling you, people you can. And so somebody told me the other day, I was talking to you about with somebody else about, because I told them I was, helping you out. And they were like, and I said, working out is, or eating right is what makes you lose weight. Working out's what shapes your body. Yeah. So like that's all. Like you don't have to necessarily work out every day to make yourself lose the weight and the fat to come off. But what you do when you work out is you just transform your body into be a little tighter and a little bit better off, right? But yeah, dude, it's really not hard once you get into a groove and figure it out. And numbers are big, right? You're not going to have you lost, I think, almost 6 pounds on the official weigh-in day of Friday. You're not going to have numbers like that every week, right?
No, and I fully expect it to really curb off. It's just, I know that the initial
shed, which is great because it happens it keeps you motivated during the beginning, which is arguably the hardest. And then about 4 weeks in, you might get like,
you hit a plateau.
Okay, and I will take off one thing, right? Instead of 2 pieces of Ezekiel bread, you'll get 1, and all of a sudden you'll drop 3 pounds. And you're like, what? It doesn't even make sense to me.
I know.
But it works.
Like I said, I am fully prepared to hit the plateaus. I know they're going to happen. It's easier for me because I've done things like this before. Yeah. It's easier for me to be like, okay, I'm not worried about it. Like, that's why I daily weigh in. I like to see an overall trend. I know. The overall trend is fine. I can have a day or two, which I've had a day or two where it ticks up. I'm like, that's okay. As long as the trend is going down overall, I'm good. Yep. I'm fine with that. Crap, I had one more thing I wanted to say, but I can't remember what it is. Anyway, we're almost at an hour. We got to cool this, dude. All right, dude. Don't breathe.
Breed.
Yes. I like this.
The JJ and Puck Show theme song is written, composed, and performed by Lane Hartman. Thank you to Highland Communities for the support of our show. You can find the JJ and Puck Show on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok, and anywhere you listen to your podcast. Just Google us if you're confused. Remember to share the show with your friends and family. Subscribe wherever you listen. Buy a shirt, reach out to us, and place an order. Each shirt is $20, and if we can hand deliver it, we will, but if we have to ship it, it'll be $25. If you're able, feel free to support us by sending a donation to us by going to kfo.com/The JJ and Pug Show. That's ko-fi.com/The JJ and Pug Show. And thanks again to all who listen. We really appreciate your support for our show, and we hope to continue to grow.